Hello and welcome to Alula's webinar. My name is Kevin Hoffman and I am the Content Marketing Manager for Alula. Today's topic is a doorbell field install, how to hook up the popular Alula video doorbell. In this webinar, we will cover several key topics. We'll look at what's in the box. We'll show you the power kit installation. We'll talk about mounting the doorbell. We'll walk through the enrollment process. We'll understand how to read the LEDs. And then we'll set up the notifications. And we will definitely leave ample time at the end for your questions to make sure that we can get you your answers. First, let me introduce you to today's presenter. His name is Kyle Fosberg. He is the Customer Success Manager at Alula. He's been with the company for 5 years. Previously, he worked in Apple's technical support. He has a total of 12 years in customer support positions. He studied audio engineering at the Institute of Production and Recording in Minneapolis, and he is an expert on troubleshooting installations. Welcome to the webinar, Kyle.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, Kevin.
Great, Kyle. There's a few people at home that may not know Alula's background, but may instead know some of the companies that formed Alula. Why don't you walk us through how that all took place?
Yeah, it's a great place to start. Alula is based on the product line and functionality of two great companies, IP Datatel and Resolution Products. Both companies have a great and rich history in the security world, both from the manufacturing side and a leading network provider that we harness both of those histories to create what is the Alula product line today. Sensors to services, what we like to coin. We make all the manufactured hardware and then support our own network.
That's great, Kyle. Good description. Now let's look specifically at what we're here to do today, which is install a video doorbell. The first step is we're going to walk you through all the parts and pieces that are in the box, and that starts, of course, with the doorbell itself. Kyle, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so there are quite a few pieces that are going to come in the box here. So we'll kind of go through each and every component here just so there's a broad understanding of how this is going to work within the installation. So to kick off right away, we are talking about the physical doorbell itself. It's a 3-megapixel camera. It has a motion detection PIR, and then the ringer, of course, then too, that gives you the button press. It does come with a black faceplate, and we will have some secondary color options that are sold separately available to the customers as well. Additionally, we have some mounting plates that we give you, and those are just going to help with the mounting location. There's a flat one, of course, then to get started, but then we also have some Y-axis and X-axis correction depending on the actual mounting surface. It's going to help you get the best picture and the best view that you're looking for out of that camera.
And so what you're doing there really is you want to make sure you can see that doorstep so that you can see when packages are dropped off to make sure they don't go missing, right?
Exactly. We want to line that up with where people are coming from, and of course want to get that shot of making sure we don't miss somebody when they're standing right in front of the door.
So now we've got some tools that are going to help with this install. Tell me what each one of these does.
Yeah, a few extra pieces there. There's a plate foam. This is the same size as those mounting plates that we saw before. This just gives you a stickier surface to use when mounting, can kind of hold things for you. It's got an adhesive on the back. Again, just helps you line things up, a little smoother process there. We also supply a level. That level actually has a back plate on it that fits right into those mounting brackets as well to ensure that you've got a straight and sufficient mounting surface for the accurate portrayal of your video. Then there's a screwdriver as well. That screwdriver is a reversible head that gives you the larger Phillips side for a majority of the screws that come with it. And then if you flip it around, it's also a torque screw. There are 2 security screws at the bottom of the camera that kind of seal that up. And then we also supply a drill bit. That's because the size needed for the anchors that we supply, and it's going to be used for various mounting surfaces then.
There's also the power kit and wire harness. How does this get used?
Yeah, so these are the pretty crucial parts of the installation here. The power kit is required on any installation with a chime, whether it's electronic or mechanical. And what that's actually doing is ensuring that we're taking this previously existing doorbell that was an open circuit system and now creating a closed circuit system that powers a video camera at the front door. So there's some big changes there. And what that power kit does is ensures that your chime isn't constantly getting the load that was previously only triggered by pressing the doorbell. To the counterpoint of that, then, there is a fuse wire, which is actually installed when there is no chime. This device is a sacrificial device, if you will, then, if you have a setup that has no chime and a chime setting was actually in place. This is going to be what protects your power supply. Back to kind of the main setup then, the wire harness is going to be used with the power kit. That's going to attach onto the power kit and then attach to the chime wires and attach to the trans and front terminals back at the chime. The U-shaped wires that we see here then too are actually the part that go back to the doorbell camera itself. You're taking the chime and transformer wire there and attaching it to one end, while the U-shaped end is going to connect to the back of the doorbell.
And then we've also got all the screws and fasteners to hold it together.
Yeah, so lots of little pieces here then too. You know, there's a lot of little screws here, so keeping them straight is definitely important. The wire connectors, there's a few different locations for that, whether it's going to be at the chime or if you're using that fuse, it would be good to use a wire connector there as well. Then there's the mounting screw. That's actually going to be what anchors the mounting bracket into the mounting surface. And then we have the anchors as well, then, if you need that kind of extra support for those mounting screws. And then the security screws, that's what seals the cover of the doorbell. Those are the ones that need the torque screwdriver side. The fixing screw, this is screwed into the back of the doorbell camera. This is actually what you attach either the wire harness to or the U-shaped wires, actually. And then the doorbell screws are going to go to the front. That's actually what's connecting the doorbell to the mounting bracket.
Okay, now that we've seen all the parts, let's get down to the actual installation. Starts with the power kit. How do you do this?
Yeah, so the number one rule, of course, we always want you shutting off the electricity there. Everybody stay safe out there. And then the wire harness is going to get attached. There's a little clip connection that we're making right at the power kit. And as you can see there, there's the two leads on the left are going to be what goes onto your terminals. And the floating leads on the right are what will connect to the existing wires that have been there to get you the power and chime connection. So pop open that cover of your mechanical chime or electronic chime, and we're removing the existing wires that are on the front and trans terminals.
That leads us to step 5.
Yep. Then with the wire harness here, we're attaching those new wires to the trans in front, and then the chime wires that were existing go in to those leads that are floating out there from the wire harness, and that's where you can add that wire connector there that you're seeing under image 6. And then the full wiring overview, those two leads again coming out of the chime are connected there for the full explanation of what we just described there, from power kit to the trans in front. And that power kit does have a little VHB or adhesive tape on the back of it. So you should be able to find a little spot inside the actual chime for those to sit. Usually on the edge there as pictured, or there might be some space in the middle depending on the actual chime itself.
So once we put the chime cover back on, it's on to mounting the video doorbell itself. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so we definitely want to recommend that height of about 4 to 5 feet. And that's, again, going to kind of be standardized by where the existing doorbell already is. So pretty normal to have in that height already. But that recommended height is actually going to ensure that the image that you're getting does get all the way from the ground with a package sitting on the ground to above the height of a human standing there. And various things will come up, and that's why we have those different mounting plates to turn that or face it in different directions as well. So understanding when to use those, how to use them is important there as well.
So once you've got the doorbell onto the wall, you use the Alula app to enroll it. How does that work?
Yeah, so the device is going to boot up. Happens pretty quick that it'll have this red LED on while it's powering up, and you're waiting for that doorbell to have a flashing blue LED. It goes around the edge of where that QR code is. To begin the process then, you open up the Alula application, hit a plus icon next in the camera settings to begin adding it, and you just scan in that QR code. Which you can see there is behind the faceplate on the actual doorbell button. And there is also a QR code that comes on the manual of each product as well. You can have that in your hand if it's easier for you to scan from there. Once you have it scanned in, it will walk you through some steps of connecting it to the local Wi-Fi network as well then.
And the doorbell itself gives you some feedback in the form of lights and LEDs. What do each of these things mean?
Yeah, so it gets a little critical with the LEDs. You always want to pay attention to these. Blue LED, that blue light's going to be flashing when that doorbell is in that access point mode, which is broadcasting a network for us to join, which is how we push the Wi-Fi credentials of the homeowner to the doorbell then. Once it's kind of in that setup state, you'd see this blue LED be solid or steady. That is the normal operation we'd expect out of a doorbell, indicating that it is online and ready for use. The red LED, if this is flashing, that's typically going to be related to Wi-Fi issues. Maybe the network's down or it's no longer reachable to the location of that doorbell. You'll get this red LED. This does have some other scenarios as well, such as power issues and things of that nature too, that could cause the red LED to be flashing. And then the red LED is going to be solid during that actual power up. That's the only time you should see that as well then. One other note then that you can see on here as well, when the doorbell chime is pressed, the blue LED will go on and off about 3 or 4 times within 10 seconds. During that time, we don't repeatedly send the notification that someone has pushed the doorbell.
That's a nice feature. I don't want my phone getting blown up just because some impatient salesperson is at my door and doesn't have good manners.
That's exactly what it's for.
So now you've also got some system settings that allow you even more control. Tell us how to go about doing all this in the app.
Yeah, so some of these are more critical than the other. Some of them will certainly be things you want to change right out of the gate to its operation. Some of them are customizable depending on the customer's needs. But some highlighted ones, of course, are going to be the chime type. This is something you'll want to select and is critical to the specific chime. So there's 3 options there. It's going to be mechanical, electronic, which also gives you the ability to select the duration then, if it's an electronic chime, which makes the difference between just playing a standard ding-dong noise or playing your favorite college's entire fight song. So that's why you get that extra customization there with the electronic chime. And then the third setting is a no chime setting. There is no chime in this installation. We want to make sure that the doorbell then at that point is not sending power to an area that does not need it. High quality clips is another one then too that might actually behoove you to turn off if you are maybe on a less than adequate Wi-Fi network. This can help in the speed of clips arriving to a device that doesn't have the greatest network. The microphone is disabled by default. So for both live view and clips, we want to enable that function to have sound during those events. For both the clips having audio and then any two-way conversation you'd have at the doorbell itself. The last one I'll highlight here then too is just going to be that camera infrared. Just a variable of where this is. Maybe a porch light stays on all night. You would not want the infrared to kick on then. So having that disabled may be an advantage there. Maybe there's a street lamp that's always on then too. Maybe we don't want this to kick on. It might distort the image if it actually does turn on. Maybe it's pitch black, so we definitely want infrared, and the infrared quality is very good on this camera as well. And then you're seeing the PIR zones. You can kind of change these to reflect the area you need to get clips recorded at. So depending on how close somebody needs to be for you to actually trigger a recording, nice easy layout with the baseball diamond here, depending on the layout and location.
And that's handy so that you don't catch those passing cars that might be out there in the outfield, huh?
Exactly.
You just mentioned live view and clip playback. This is one of the neatest parts of it because it allows you to virtually go back in time. Why don't you talk about how this works?
Yeah, so you get a still of live view on the left there, where you can, in real time be staring out at your front door there. So if somebody walks up, I can have a two-way audio conversation with them from those controls. I can begin a photo capture, and I can begin a video recording from the buttons on the left there. One also nice little hidden one in there is the data streaming rate that you see on there. You see 17.3 kilobytes. It's a very low bandwidth requirements from the cameras itself, and you can see that that's set on high quality setting as well. On the right here then we have kind of a clip view. So at the bottom there I went into clips, and then at the top right there's a little calendar icon which lets me select by date to go back and view previous clips that have been recorded to the camera. These can be played back at any time, and you can also download them right to your device's camera roll for future use and playback.
Yeah, I ran into that myself recently when I noticed something went missing and I wanted to go back 2 weeks to see who had been there. I didn't know at the time that it was important, but with the benefit of hindsight, I did. So having that calendar view is extremely important for clips. And how do these clips actually get generated?
Yeah, so it's a process that I really like to spell out because there's some expectations on the site we want to set to make sure somebody's waiting long enough and kind of following the proper steps to get these and kind of set expectations with your customers as well then. So the camera will detect motion. At this time, it lets Alula know that, hey, motion has been detected and a clip is being generated. What Alula does at that point then is can go grab the pre-roll. We use about a 10-second pre-roll and then create about a 40-second clip beyond that. There are some algorithms in there then too that would make a clip shorter depending on motion not being detected for certain amounts of time then as well. You might see a shorter clip at that point. But for the most part, you're hovering around about a 50-second clip. that clip is then processed in real time before it's sent down to the user. So the user will get that notification then that a clip is ready for them, and they can access that clip and play it back. Once that is, the clip works based on service plans that are generated then too. The service plan will dictate how many clips are available to that user then too. So starts at about 1,000 clips, and anywhere up into the tens of thousands is a possible setting for you.
And we always store the newest clips. So even if you, by accident, run out of clips on your service plan, it's not going to stop working. You're still going to get the new clips. It deletes from the oldest clip first. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So it's not a monthly plan. It's not anything that you have to manually reset or anything like that. It stores that number and drops off the oldest, and will always store those newer events for you.
So, of course, we also want to talk about notifications. This is, we're interacting with these services through our cell phone. There's nothing better than getting a notification and seeing a delivery person drop off the item that you've been waiting for. So how do we make sure that we get all the notifications we want, but not getting notifications that we don't want?
Right, yeah, good point there. So obviously you can access your clips at any time by just going into the app, but when they're coming at you, if you're picking up that road noise or anything like that, you can get a lot of these. So you'll get the little icon on the right-hand side here. I got the two images there showing iOS version of the notifications, and the far right image is when you press and hold on that notification. You're going to get a pop-up that lets you watch the recorded video, and then you also get a link into the live view. These notifications will come at you from the device, so they're Alula branded at that point then. So under your iOS settings, you can change both the notification preferences for video and the doorbell press. And on the Android, it's a little bit more specific there per camera. You can select this with a gear icon within the app of how you want to be alerted by that specific camera.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kyle, for sharing your wisdom and expertise with us. I sit next to you, so I hear you talking to customers all day long, and I am always impressed by your ability to diagnose the problem and get them what they need to succeed. We've got a few customers on the line here as well that look to have some questions. Kyle, can you stick around for a few minutes and help them out?
Fantastic. Let's get to it.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you. Please stand by.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Kyle had to step away to talk to a customer, but we have my colleague Bob on the line to answer your questions. Bob, you've installed a few of these in your time, haven't you?
Absolutely. Video Doorbell is a great product. It's easy to install and provides an exceptional view of the front doorstep.
Great. Well, we've got a few questions here, so let's just take it from the top down. Scott is wondering, can a simple power supply be used to power the doorbell camera? If so, what type?
It can. So you have a transformer in the house, typically, for your running your low voltage, 16 volt, 30 amp transformer is typically used. If that transformer is not in the house, you can bypass that low voltage circuit that's feeding power to the doorbell and also the doorbell chime with an AC plug-in transformer also. So 16V 30A transformer, either a plug type or hardline wire in.
Okay. Andrew has a question about the cloud reporting. He says there's been some delays in terms of when you get the notification. Bob, do you have any insight as to whether that's something that has been worked out yet?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're always looking to improve our network and testing it constantly to make certain that It's as most current and as fast as it should be. We did isolate an issue that was causing some clip delivery delays, and this has been improved, and we'll keep on top of it. Immediacy of playback is really important benefit of video doorbell. We want to make certain that the customer experience is as it should be.
Great. Question for Thomas. Why would I want to install this video doorbell versus one of the other video doorbells on the market?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot of them out there, and they're very popular, and I think for good reason. People want that extra peace of mind and expand their security envelope, but you never really know what you're going to get until you try it and have some experience with it. So we encourage you to get on board with it. Alula's video doorbell is a high quality product. It's a 2K HD camera with a 3 megapixel image sensor. That's going to provide a very high quality image back to the phone and allow pinch to zoom function, which is fabulous to see the detail and the resolution that's embedded from the camera transferred into that mobile device. That awareness that it gives you and the convenience is just great. Vertical field of view is important also in that we have a 2048 tall by about 1500 wide image area, and that's specific so that you can see from head to toe, from the threshold, and capture every face and frame. So that view is unique to our camera and provides that great image area that I talked about, and combining that with real-time two-way audio, which is very crisp out of the camera itself and transfers very readily and clearly to your phone. So two-way conversations and high fidelity.
Yeah, there's a lot of great reasons to get the Alula video doorbell. Chief among them is that you get to keep the RMR as the installer. That's a very important differentiator. So please take a look at this one before you install a competitor's doorbell like the Ring or the Nest. Ultimately, you may not get RMR, and they may be going after your customer. Moving on, we've got a question from Nick. This is kind of a fun one. Once you get these steps down, how long does it take to install? Bob, what's your fastest time installing one of these video doorbells?
So it takes about, if you have good power supply, it takes about 10 minutes from start to finish. The app itself with the install wizard will help you provision to an active and live network that you know the passcode, username and passcode. Once you're in connected to the network, it is a very fast install. Effectively, 2 wires disconnect the doorbell switch, reconnecting those wires to the back of video doorbell using whatever angle brackets that you need to center your image area on in front of the door if that's where the customer wants it. It's a very simple process, so it doesn't matter, brick, siding, regardless of where it's at, those angle brackets really help you align it very swiftly and easily. And as I said before, once you get it powered up, you're ready to rock and roll. If you need a power supply, that'll take an extra 10 to 20 minutes depending on what you need there. You can test that voltage at the doorbell, at the transformer itself, and once you isolate and find that circuit, you're good to go. So in short, 10 minutes is my fastest time. The most troublesome install was about 30 minutes, and that included using an AC plug transformer to create a new circuit.
There you have it, folks. Bob setting the speed run record at 10 minutes. I'd love to hear if any of you guys are able to beat that record. If you send us proof, maybe I'll find a little prize for you. We've got another question coming from Mark. He asks, does the adhesive come with it?
It does come with it. So there's a foam platant that's die cut that basically matches the backing plate. Affix that, ready to rock and roll.
Cool. We've got another question from Steve. Are these only in black?
So I think you're talking about the faceplate. So the product ships with a black faceplate, and the housing or the magnesium housing that holds all the electronics is a silver color. We have faceplates coming in line starting in September, and they will be in silver, a nickel color. and also white. You can order these as additional items to match the decor or trim on the face of houses. So in short, comes in black, silver, and white faceplates that you can add on if you want to.
That's right. Those silver and white faceplates are pretty snazzy. Definitely give those a look. We can match any of your end customers' styles for their house. So it does not come just in black. There's multiple options there, and you should definitely take a look and pick your favorite. So we've got another question from Terry. This is an interesting question. I recently just heard about this one myself. Can you talk a little bit about how the internal temperature of this unit compares to competing video doorbells?
We can. So we have completed this testing compared to that operating temp between popular doorbells, Skybell, Ring, and others in market, and found that the Alula doorbell runs at or below those what was considered common operating temperatures for video doorbells. This is normal and expected, and poses absolutely no risk to any material surface on the face of a house.
Yeah, you're not going to find a cooler doorbell on the market in both senses of the word. We've got a question from Ray. What if there is no doorbell? How do you handle the power requirements in that situation?
Gotcha. Yeah, we did cover off on this in one of the earlier questions, but I'll restate it because this is important. A consistent power supply is a requirement for reliable operation. So that 16-volt, 30-amp transformer, you can either use an AC plug-in transformer that you can acquire from any distributor, Home Depot, and they're about $15, or plug-in type transformer that you plug into an AC outlet, or some people call them wall wart transformers, and you can provide a 2-wire run from that to an internal chime and to the doorbell, or to the doorbell and back to the internal chime. So really straightforward, but 16V30A will supply power to 2 chimes as well as a doorbell or 2 is also no problem.
Great. We got a question from Sean. Does the doorbell include an SD card?
It does. It's one of the great aspects. So if a customer's local network goes down, you still want to capture those clips in that option. So if you're not connected to the cloud, those clips are going to be saved locally to a 16 gig micro SD card that's included and installed in Video Doorbell. So once network comes back online, our cloud will pull those clips back and then port them back over to your phone at that point for recall, and is a redundant layer to ensure that no image is ever lost.
So it does include an SD card, and you can also, if you so choose, get a bigger memory SD card off the shelf and install that as well, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, you bet. The size of the clips, because it is capturing a larger image, it's a high definition, it's still compressed. So I don't think you're ever going to need to run up to 256K or any giant card, but it is compatible with up to 128 meg SD card if there's long outages expected with local network.
Now let's hope that doesn't happen, but we definitely have it covered if it does. So we got a question from Rick. Here's a good question about the image quality. He asks, is there a reason why the video looks like a fisheye lens? It seems like other doorbells I've seen don't quite look the same. There's actually a very good reason for that. Bob, why don't you talk about it?
There is. So when I talked about 180 vertical resolution, so the image area is about 2 tall by 1.5 wide in that proportion to each other. Now that's intentional, so that we want to capture effectively what's facing the door. If you use a vertical field of view, you can capture that face, you can capture packages at the threshold, so everything is in sight. That's the reason why we choose that orientation to fit the application, the best application for it.
Yeah, that's right. The photographers out there will know that the fisheye lens really gives you the biggest image area. Yes, it can create a little bit of distortion. It's not probably what you'd want to take a portrait with, but it will give you the best image area for a use case like this where you really want to see what's off to the side, what's at the bottom, and what's up at the top. And so fisheye is the best lens to use for a doorbell camera. A lot of the other ones on the market, they're really using fisheye lenses, but they're running some algorithms to change the way it looks to the end user. But the fisheye is really the way you want to do it. We've got a question from, I believe it's Jocelyn. How long are clips kept for, or is it kept until you delete the clip yourself?
Yeah, so the clips are on the cloud. So we have service packages that will keep 1,000 clips. So as soon as you reach 1,001, it's going to start writing over clip number 1. So depending on how many clips it's capturing, that will dictate how long those clips are accessible.
Yeah, and just to put a fine point on that, it's deleting the earliest clips first when you run over the limit, and that's very important. There's other doorbells on the market that once you run out of clips, it stops recording. That is not what you want, because now you've just lost your security system. So the key here is it's going to record over the oldest clips first. Those are the clips that are least important to you right now, and you've got. But of course, there's a service plan where you can retain as many clips as you'd like. We've got a question from Phil. Can you have multiple users with different notifications?
Yeah, absolutely. So notification settings on when a doorbell is pressed, when a motion event has been triggered or a clip is available. Those are all set individually at the user level within the phone settings and within the app settings on each device. So they can be customized that way. There are some universal settings that you'll want to keep consistent across your base, specifically talking about what type of doorbell chime is used. Some of those will be universal, but notifications are specific to whatever the end user wants.
Okay, so Mike has a series of questions. I'm going to run through them. First question, this is a softball for you, Bob. Do you offer video-only accounts?
We do. So video as a standalone service is a great option for users who want to enter in through video and experience the product that way. So video can be part of it. Interactive control, of course, mobile control is a big piece of that, and it's a definite means to experience the product and the speed of the Alula network, and the clarity and control over a home environment.
Okay, this one's a little more challenging for Mike. So if you use an outboard power supply, the doorbell can be completely standalone?
It can, absolutely. So 16 volts is that constant supply, and is no issue. It can stand alone. You don't need an internal chime. Obviously, you're not going to hear a chime inside the house unless you have a chime on your phone specific to it. So you're going to get the notification on your home screen, either a lock screen, or whether you're in the app or not, depending on the settings that you set on the device itself. And that can substitute for an audible chime in the home.
And the last question from Mike, he asks, can the SD card be read independently without removing it?
I'm not aware of that it can. We can check with our technical teams. That's a little bit of an obscure question I haven't come across yet. So the SD card can be accessed by removing the faceplate and effectively just taking it out and dropping it in any SD card reader. I'll double check on that one, but I think the question there, we'd have to pose a follow-up to you on that one, Mike.
Yeah, I just got Chris just stopped by. I saw him shake his head no. So the answer to that, Mike, is no, that the SD card can't be read independently without removing it. But I don't know why you'd want to do that. You've got access to all the clips in that calendar functionality on the phone. But please feel free to follow up at 1-888-88-ALULA. We can probably speak to your specific situation and how to help you out with that. Freddie has a question about international. Can you use the doorbell in Mexico and South America?
Gotcha. So the answer is yes. The doorbell is an IP-based system. As long as you have local Wi-Fi, you most definitely can access the internet. Doorbells are good to go.
And Freddie had a second question. It was, I was late for the presentation and missed the pricing for the doorbell. Bob, are we able to speak at all about the pricing on this?
Gotcha. So I think I'd refer you to sales on that one. They can give you specific information for international, Freddie. So the phone number that Kevin mentioned there, 888-888-ALULA or sales@alula.net, will give you very specific information on your locality.
Yeah, I'd also direct you to contact your local distributor. They'll be able to tell you what the pricing is for that unit, exactly where you're going to purchase it. We've got another question here from Rick. Is there a clip limit for the doorbell?
So we talked about this real briefly. So 1,000 clips. So an average doorbell, depending on if it's in an active area, for example, if it's in a lobby of a business or a large family where there's a lot of traffic, you're going to capture more clips. Say you're going to get 50 clips a day based off of a motion trigger. Multiply that times 30 and you've got a lot of clips, right? So in short, we place a clip limit at 1,000 and it rewrites over the oldest clip after 1,000. So you always have access to the most current 1,000 clips.
A follow-up question, this is from Hugh, very on the same topic. What service plans are available and what are the costs?
Gotcha. So service plans, I would direct you to our sales team, sales@alula.net, who can fill you in really quickly if you're going to run with interactive or with intrusion security and or automation packages. Everything really just depends on how you pair video, how many cameras that you have online, and how you pair video with security and automation. So sales@alula.net, they'll fill you in very specifically on that question, Hugh. Thanks for the question.
Great. Question from Scott. I love this question. Can motion events be used to trigger scenes, or is that in the works?
Yeah, so this is great. So you talk about automation events be available to trigger scenes. There's always a change in the midst. So I think the shorter answer on this one is yes. This one's in the works. Motion events trigger to scenes directly. I don't have visibility on that specifically, although the improvements to the platform are always infrequent. So keep an eye out for that specific question.
And Mike has a question. Some people don't have internet. So is it possible to use the doorbell if you don't have an IP connection?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I haven't come across this one specifically. So, about 3/4 of the market has a reliable IP connection. So we don't come across it very often. I can't answer that directly. Maybe Chris Bartholomew, you can chime in on this one swiftly. But in short, I don't have this one real quick.
Yep, actually, Chris Bartholomew just swung by the office and shook his head again. So he's saying, sorry, no, you need to have that IP connection if you want to use the doorbell. Thanks,
Gotcha.
Thanks for chipping in on that one, Chris. Hugh with another question. If a customer wants a video doorbell on the front and rear doors, can 2 video doorbells be installed, and how do you wire that? Bob, this is a great question for you because I know that you actually created a diagram on that.
Yeah, you bet. So the wiring diagrams are available. We have available on our knowledge base at alula.net an installation video where we show a diagram on how to wire 2 doorbells to a single chime or 2 doorbells to 2 chimes. There are a bunch of different ways, of course, to make certain that you have, transformer providing consistent power to all of the doorbells and chimes on that circuit. So I would refer you to that. knowledge base library on alula.net, so you can take a look at an installation, and we look at 2 doorbells on that circuit. So very simply, and the short answer is absolutely.
Yep, and to Bob's point, I've just included that link to the knowledge base in the chat comments. There's a hot link. Go ahead and hit that up, bookmark it. That'll be where you can find that information that Bob's talking about. There's a great install video there. There's a great step-by-step guide there. A lot of this presentation is drawn from those materials. So you can always dive deeper into it. And of course, if you still have questions after all that, please just give us a call, 1-888-88-ALULA. We've got a customer success team who is here to answer all of your questions. Okay, coming to the end here, we've got another great question from, I believe it's Jacqueline. Sorry if I'm butchering the name. She asks, how detailed are the clips when it is dark? How's the night vision on these cameras?
Yeah, so we have infrared night vision on board. Make certain you can capture clips in any motion-triggered events from the camera. The resolution is subjective, right? So what are you comparing it to? So because the image sensor is very large in this camera, it's not going to discriminate if it's going to capture fewer pixels on that video. So high def, day or night is the answer there. I think you'd be very pleased by what you see in capture.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that point. I have seen footage from these cameras. I've seen them capture deers off in the distance. I've seen a mouse crawl across somebody's doorbell camera. So whether it's up close or far away, great. You can see faces that are distinguishable. So the night vision on these cameras is just spectacular. It's really impressive where the technology has gone with that in the past several years. I think that's going to do it. I think that's all the questions that we have. Thank you all for all these great questions. Bob, thank you for pinch hitting for Kyle. You have a lot of great answers on these, and it's always wonderful to have somebody who has the experience of installing so many of these and can share it with all of our customers.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for joining today, people. I really enjoyed talking with you, and any questions, most definitely just head over to alula.net. There's plenty of information available on Doorbell, as well as downloadable resources on installation, specifications, and a lot. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, everybody, and stay tuned for future Alula webinars. Bye.